In this video we'll look at the shell stitch. Stay with me and I'll show you how. The shell stitch can be done in a single colour or many colours. This shows off the pattern better. So let's get started. We need to make a foundation chain in multiples of 6 plus 2. For my multiple of 6 I have chained 18 and plus 2 more I have a chain of 20. We begin our row by making a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. This is called a double crochet in UK terminology. We then skip 2 chains and into the third chain along we make a cluster of 5 double crochets. This is called a treble crochet in UK terminology. We skip the next 2 chains and into the third chain we make a single crochet. And our first shell is complete. On to the next we skip 2 chains and into the third chain we make 5 double crochets. We skip 2 chains and into the third we make a single crochet. Let's make our last shell in the row. We skip 2 chains, and into the third we make 5 double crochets. At the end of the row we should have 3 chain stitches left. Into that final chain stitch we make a single crochet. Here's how our first row looks. We ended on a complete shell, so we start our next row with half a shell. We do this by chaining 3. This chain of 3 counts as our first double crochet, and into that same stitch we make 2 double crochets. This gives us 3 double crochets for half a shell. We then skip 2 stitches and we make our single crochet into the third stitch along. This should be the centre of the shell stitch from the previous row. We skip 2 stitches and the third stitch along should be the single crochet between the 2 shell stitches from the previous row. Into this stitch we double crochet 5. Skipping 2 stitches, we make a single crochet into the centre stitch of the shell from the previous row. And into the single crochet between the shells in the previous row, we make 5 double crochets. And skipping 2 stitches, we make a single crochet into the centre stitch from the shell of the previous row. Our last row ended with a full shell, so this time we end with a half shell. We do this by skipping 2 and into that single crochet of the previous row we make 3 double crochets. Our next row starts with a full shell, so we make a turning chain and into that first stitch we make a single crochet. And into that single crochet between the shells of the previous row we make a cluster of 5 double crochets. We then skip 2 stitches and we make a single crochet into the centre stitch of the shell from the previous row. We skip 2 stitches and into the single crochet from the previous row, we make 5 double crochets. We skip 2 and make a single crochet into the center of the previous shell. And skip 2 and make 5 double crochets into the single crochet from the previous row. We complete our row by making a single crochet into the top of the chain 3 from the previous row. Our row finished on a full shell, so our next row starts with a half shell, so we chain 3, and into that first stitch we double crochet 2. We skip 2 stitches and make a single crochet into the center stitch of the shell from the previous row. And into the single crochet from the previous row we make 5 double crochets. Carry on with that pattern until you reach the end of the row. At the end of the row we make 3 double crochets into the top of the single crochet from the previous row, but we leave the final stitch incomplete, leaving 2 loops on the hook, because now we're going to add a new colour. We cut off our yarn and we take our new colour, looping it over the hook and pulling it through the 2 loops, completing the stitch and adding our new colour. We've finished on a half shell, so we start with a full shell by making a turning chain of 1 and making a single crochet into that first stitch. We then make 5 double crochets into the single crochet from the previous row, and we carry on the pattern until the end of the row. We're finishing on a full shell, so we need to make a single crochet into the top of the chain 3 from the start of the previous row. We don't complete the stitch, leaving 2 loops on the hook because we're going to add another colour. We cut off our yarn, we loop our new colour over the hook and pull it through, completing the stitch and adding our new yarn. We begin our new row with a half shell, so we make a turning chain of 3, and we make 2 double crochets into that first stitch, and we make a single crochet into the center stitch of the shell from the previous row. We make 5 double crochets into the single crochet from the previous row, and we continue the pattern until the end of the row. We're finishing on a half shell, so we make 3 double crochets into the top of the single crochet from the previous row, but we leave the 3rd double crochet incomplete so we can add a new colour. And we're starting our new row on a full shell, so we make a turning chain of 1, single crochet into that first stitch, and make 5 double crochets into the single crochet from the previous row, and we continue the pattern until the end of the row. And we complete our row by making a single crochet into the top of the chain 3 from the previous row. And that's how to do the shell stitch.